Guys, today we are outside in the great big wilderness because we're gonna be testing out 10 different life hacks designed for camping. These are all things that I've seen online that seem like they could be really cool, and I wanna put them to the test to see how well they actually work. The first life hack we're gonna be testing out is using plastic drinking straws to make yourself single-serve containers of spices. To start off, we'll take a pair of pliers or a multi-tool and pinch one end of the straw really near the end. Using a lighter, melt the end of the straw and it should seal shut. Once you have one end of the straw sealed, decide how much spice you want in it and cut the straw there. Now just take the straw and kind of push it down into the spice until it's as full as you want it to be. Be sure to leave enough space at the top that you're able to pinch the top of the straw without it binding into the spices. Now, just like when we started, use your lighter to seal it off. At this point, we have a waterproof container that might even be airtight, full of the spice of our choice. When we're ready to use it, we can just cut it open and pour it over our food. I would say that this definitely does work pretty well. I'm doing it while I'm already out here in the wilderness, whereas this is really something you want to do at home to prepare to go camping. If you're already out here and you have the spices, then of course, you don't need to put them in smaller containers. They're already in, you already got them. You don't need to bring them out with you. But this does definitely work. I'm going to be using this in the future. Our next camping hack is supposed to help you carry firewood as you're walking around trying to gather it all up. It involves taking 2 sticks and tying 2 or 3 lengths of paracord in between them to then form a sort of carrier that you can put the rest of the wood in. Now, I don't anticipate this working any better or worse because I have a neon rainbow piece of paracord, but I guess it's possible. I'm good at knots. Got a bunch of pieces of firewood. I tried to make sure that they're all long enough that they span from one string to the other. Let's give this thing a shot. That works pretty neat, and that's probably more than I could easily gather up in my arms, so I'm gonna say this works pretty slick. Next up, we're gonna test a hack that lets you have a bar of soap near your washing station and fit it into the foot on a pair of nylons, and you're then able to lather up right through the material without having to take the bar of soap and then set it down on something dirty or grungy. That's stretchy. Now we'll hang this from our table next to a jug of water, and we should be able to use it to wash our hands. The soap in a nylon might look a little bit strange, but it works pretty well. I'm able to lather up my hands right through the cloth, and then I don't have to set the soap down on the ground or anything covered in dirt. Our next camping hack teaches us a way that we can dry off our shoes if we've unfortunately stepped in a stream or something like that by letting them sit overnight with a t-shirt filling the shoe. And in theory, by morning it should be dry. So this one we're gonna let go overnight and see how it works. Of course, if it gets completely dry, it's gonna depend on the temperature and the humidity and everything else going on around you, but we should be able to see at least if one is more dry than the other. The next test is for a camping hack that's been floating around the internet for about as long as I can remember. And the idea is that you can take a headlamp, strap it to the side of a jug of water, and it will provide a lantern that will just beautifully light everything up. We're gonna try that out. So there's our headlamp attached to the jug of water, and it's putting off light kind of all around, which is what we were hoping for. The question is whether this is actually worth doing. Here's how much it's glowing right now. It does provide some light. Maybe if you were playing cards on this table, it'd be enough to play by. But if we take the headlamp off, I would say we actually have quite a bit more light just using the light bulb itself. So here's my thought. If you have a headlamp, instead of taking it off and strapping it onto the milk jug, just wear it on your head and you can see everything you need to. I don't think this life hack is worth it. Next up is how to take an aluminum can and a tea light to make a lantern that's supposed to light up a large area. We'll start by cutting a slit from near the bottom of the can to near the top, and then moving sideways, kind of cutting a big letter I into our can. We'll then take the 2 sides and fold them open and place the tea light inside. We can now see a side-by-side comparison of a candle in our little can and a candle that's just sitting on the table. I'm not sure if there's a lot more light coming out of the one on the can, but there are a couple advantages I can see. The light is a little bit more directed, and if you're trying to do something specific, that might be really helpful. But I would say the best use is that this candle is flickering a lot, and when there's any gust of wind, it almost gets put out, and if there's any strong wind, it would go out. So the can really does a good job of shielding the candle from being blown out by a slight breeze. I don't think it's gonna make a huge difference in terms of how much brightness is getting put off, but at least it protects it from the wind, and I'd say that's an advantage worth knowing. Our next camping hack is one that intrigued me quite a bit. It involves using a hollowed out half of an orange and some vegetable oil to make an oil lamp candle kind of thing. And why you are camping and have an orange and some oil but not, say, a lantern or just a normal candle, I'm not sure, but I still really want to try this out. Our orange is cut in half, and the goal is to remove all of the fruit, but leave this fibrous center stem portion. That's actually what we're going to try and use as the wick. All right, we've got our orange pretty much cleared out now. We've still got the center fiber stem bit. So now we need to try filling the orange with some vegetable oil. The life hack didn't specify if there's a good way to keep your orange from tipping over. Well, so far I'm definitely having a bit of trouble getting that to light. Maybe it's still too full of orange juice. Need to dry it off more. We had to dry out the wick, and then it took, I'd say, at least 2 minutes of concentrated lighter fire to really get that to catch. So if you've got that, you might have all of your light covered, but it does seem to be burning now. Not very strong. I think a good sneeze would put it out. Now we're going to test a method of making some campfire popcorn using popcorn, oil, aluminum foil, and a stick. The idea is that we'll pour some popcorn and some oil into the foil, fold it over into sort of a pouch, and then we'll use 2 of the corners to reach up and connect onto our stick. And then we'll be able to put that whole contraption into the fire over some coals, and we should be able to get some popcorn popping inside the pouch. Probably still not gonna be anywhere near all the way popped. Ooh, looky at that. There are still some unpopped kernels, and the ones that stayed near the bottom did get fairly singed, but I would say that's more of an issue of my technique than anything else. I think with a little bit more practice, I could make this work out pretty nicely. So we've got the one shoe that had the t-shirt stuffed down into it, and we have the one shoe that did not have anything in it. Just trying to feel the difference between them. They've actually been sitting out here in a fair bit of sunshine for a couple hours now. As it was, both of the shoes were mostly dry, but the shoe without the t-shirt in it was definitely a little bit more wet down along the seams. Both of the upper portions of the shoe were just the same. They both felt dry inside and out, but the one without the shirt definitely had more water, you know, pooling down in these areas where there isn't as much circulation. I think the t-shirt really did do a good job of helping absorb that portion of the water, because the shoe with the t-shirt in it felt more uniformly dry, even though both of them were doing pretty well. The next camping hack we want to test once again involves half of an orange, and it's to see if we can cook a cinnamon roll inside the orange peel in the coals of a fire. And now we'll take this, let's put it in some coals and just leave it there and see how well it cooks. The cinnamon roll might be expanding beyond the boundaries of our orange peel. I don't like putting things in orange peels. It doesn't work well. People need to stop having this idea. Update on the cinnamon roll, it very quickly expanded beyond the boundaries set by the orange peel. Parts of it sticking out started burning, and a lot of it in the middle is still completely raw. I'm not liking the look of this one. Ah! Taking a look at our cinnamon roll cooked in an orange peel. Honestly, I came across a lot of issues with this one. First off, the cinnamon roll quickly began to expand, and it grew to the point where it was much larger than the orange peel it was sitting in. The parts that reached over the edge of the orange peel very quickly started to burn, and the middle is still just incredibly doughy. This is not ready to eat. This part over here is just burnt to straight charcoal. That's completely inedible right there. See if we scoop it out of the orange. The bottom of our orange peel has started to burn right through, so that's not providing much of a barrier there. Got some burn bits. We probably do have some parts of this that are edible. Ugh, tastes like charcoal and orange. In the end, there may be a great way to cook a cinnamon roll inside of an orange peel, but I don't think it's worth it. The method I chose just failed in every possible way, and I would not eat this at all. I would rather just take the dough and wrap it around a stick and carefully cook that over the fire. It's a lot more likely to work. Our next camping hack is for if you find yourself in a situation where you don't have quite enough dishes to eat off of. The idea is that you can take aluminum foil, mold them around something else that is dish shaped, and then use that to eat out of. Making this dish out of foil, we're just wrapping it around the bowl. But one of the key elements is that you're supposed to take all of the extra foil and sort of crumple that and pinch it down to be a rim that will help reinforce the strength of the dish. There's one. Let's try the same thing using our propane canister. We've now got 2 small dishes made of aluminum foil, and we need to test how well these will actually work. Obviously they hold their own shape. I think it's just a matter of how useful they are at this point. Let's take the smaller one and fill it up with some water to see how it does. That way we can see if it will work as a cup, maybe a small bowl if you're eating soup. It seems to be holding up okay. It is warping a little bit as I'm holding it. Kind of give it some support from beneath really, but if you had soup, maybe a can, you heated that up in the fire, didn't have anything to eat out of, this could probably work for that. I was thinking I was gonna try and put this container in the fire to see if I could get the water to boil in it, but I think even if I got it to boil, there's no way I would ever be able to get this container back out of the fire. At that point, the foil would be too hot for me to grab, and this is far too flimsy of a container to try and pick up with something like sticks. Using our bigger container, we're gonna use this little dessert moon pie and see how well this dish works just for eating out of. I think the problem arises when you want to use it as a normal plate. This isn't exactly something you can use utensils on. I'm pretty sure it's just gonna cut right through the bottom. Now this cookie dessert that I'm cutting up is actually extremely soft and I could just cut it with a spoon. But using it with a normal fork and knife, I think you can see that I've managed to stab some holes right through the bottom of this plate. This is just aluminum foil. It's extremely thin even with the double layer that I made. So while these aren't terribly practical, you may very well find yourself in a situation where it's exactly what you need. It's just something to put food in that you can scoop back out and eat rather than having to, use your hands or something like that. 10 camping life hacks put to the test. Some worked great, some didn't work at all. If you know any other camping hacks or life hacks that you want to see us put to the test, let us know down in the comments. Guys, that's not all. We've got more for you to see. That little box up at the top will transport you directly to our last video. You should go check that out. The box at the bottom will show you what YouTube thinks you need to be watching next. And this bomb here in the middle will subscribe you to our channel so you never miss a video. Don't forget to ring that bell and we will see you in the next one. Talk to you then.